Hello folks, just a quick video today to talk about some of the New Year's Eve celebrations that took place the other day across the world. We've got Scotland here and we've also got England and United States of America, just to look at very briefly. Single eye symbolism in this 𝘠𝘠𝘠𝘚, which is what they call it in Scotland, 𝘠𝘠𝘠𝘚 celebration, single eye symbolism. There was a lot of pagan symbolism in this drone show. These are made with drones in Scotland. A lot of transhuman technological festivities because of COVID. Obviously, because things couldn't be as normal, crowds couldn't gather. So they used a lot of technological things in all of these displays that we see this year. So, weeping for Tammuz. The single eye with a teardrop. Now this looks very similar to what we exposed a while back in the Adobe conference. Do you remember this? We had the phoenix rising from the weeping for Tammuz in the single eye with the teardrop coming down, and the phoenix rising, the bird rising from above, and the abyss. Similar type of thing, really, in this 𝘠𝘠𝘠𝘠 celebration in Scotland. Seen above Edinburgh there. And we had other pagan symbolism in it, like the yin and yang coming together, the merging of opposites. You see how they both came together in the sky. The two pillars, the merging of the two pillars into one. And we had the key in this spiral lock turning, the key turning the lock. Some very interesting stuff going on here. And I believe it was in this one, it was talking about Mother Earth. I think it was in the Scotland one. And then look at these pagan symbols that came up during this display. So pretty obvious there. And of course we had the bird flying. So we're getting a lot of the same elements in there, which could be representing the phoenix. You see it rising above the city there with the moon. So then also we had the We Are One. We Are One 2021. So a lot of this oneness and New Age themes going on with paganism intertwined into it. The Luciferian New Age. And this is London. Above the Millennium Dome. We had, which this is a nightingale. It's to do, on the outside, it's to do with the hospital for COVID in London, which is called the Nightingale Hospital. So that's kind of the exoteric view. But it looks awfully like a phoenix, like the Olympics had a phoenix, similar to one in Scotland as well. We had the bird there too. But look at that, the phoenix rising above the Millennium Dome. This is the Millennium Dome. Remember the counterfeit millennium that we talked about before? You see how it's rising above the Millennium Dome. Made of drones again, another technological display. Transhumanist theme. We've got the communist fist appeared. Communism, the rise of the phoenix. Very interesting. Of course, that's BLM. A lot of political correctness. We had the rainbow appearing. The rainbow, communist fist. And look, in London, join together. Hope together, love together, I think it also said. But this together as one, just like in Scotland. Above the Millennium Dome there. And then at the end we had the climate change. We had this turtle image came up, all made of drones. But it's actually got the world in its shell. And we had David Attenborough talking about how we need to begin this climate change revolution. You know, almost this is the time, this is the year that we can begin this necessary work to end climate change. Of course, we know what all that climate change propaganda is all to do with. But Greta Thunberg and also that climate change cult group of young people that are rising up, very left-wing, totalitarian, cult-like behaviour. So climate change, and we've looked at this with Greta Thunberg before. So all these agendas going on, and this was in Seattle. You see the Space Needle building that was used. This projection on the Space Needle was actually done digitally. It wasn't there in real life. If you went there in real life, you wouldn't have seen it. But again, it looks very similar to the Project Bluebeam idea. And this was a very transhumanist display. So we had the piercing through space, and we had almost like an artificial intelligence mind map of the brain there, this neurological sequencing. So a lot of the theme of this was transhumanism, and one of the biggest things for me in seeing this in Seattle was how the needle, yes, the needle, was piercing through a strand of DNA. Now, you'll have to come to your own conclusions with that, partly because I can't really talk about it too much on YouTube. But what do you think of this needle? Could this be to do with mRNA? You know, the technology, the needle piercing through the strand of DNA? Could this be to do with DNA manipulation? I don't know. You'll have to come to your own conclusions on that. I'm not allowed to give my opinion, and you see the cubes. And this, right in the centre, I mean, we've got a lot of sacred geometry going on, very New Age symbolism in this this display. Right in the centre there, this is the star associated with 𝘱. You see there, that's the 𝘱 symbol. And you see how it compares to the display in Seattle. You see it right there in the centre. Now, 𝘱 was to do with Aleister Crowley, of course. They often leave their signs and symbols in these demonstrations. It was the same with the London Olympics 2012. Again, associated with Aleister Crowley, Ordo Templi Orientis. You see how this in 2012 was very similar to the symbol for the OTO, the Ordo Templi Orientis, which was founded by Aleister Crowley. So you see, and also we looked at that commercial before where they had the Rosicrucian symbol. Again, they leave their signs and symbols in these things. So is that a coincidence? Does that mean that this is 𝘱 orientated Luciferian stuff? Probably. So we've got the cube and other sacred geometries going on there. And then we had the needle splitting these cells. You see how this is showing the cells being split by the needle? And then they come together as one. You can't see it there, but they come back together as one. The division of these cells come together in this cocoon, which then evolves and opens up into a butterfly. So this obviously has elements of mind control in it. MK Ultra. So what does this mean in terms of that whole sequence? I'll leave you to your own conclusions there. But splitting these cells, the needle into the DNA, splitting the cells into the cocoon, opening into the butterfly. What do you think that represents in terms of when you tie it all together? Leave your ideas in the comments. So we go into the abyss. And this looks very similar to a UFO. There's very obviously a space theme with the Space Needle, but very similar to UFO technology. This is just, I mean, if you compare this with this, you see how similar that building looks. And they're already talking in the news about the disclosure of UFOs and things like that. Now, I'm not a believer in UFOs in the sense that I don't think that there's extraterrestrial beings out there other than the great deception that is caused by the enemy's kingdom. That's what I believe is all this propaganda is about. I don't believe in literal aliens from another planet. Time and time again, it's been shown to be part of a deception, because when people have these abduction experiences, for example, they often call on the name of Jesus Christ, and when they do, it stops. So it's a very demonic thing. But can you see how this is showing that propaganda towards aliens? Very sci-fi stuff. Look at this. Look how this is showing UFO propaganda. So we see all this transhumanist machine symbology and sacred geometry. It's total New Age Luciferian stuff. And we see this looks very Hindu, a lot of Hinduism. It reminds me of the Hindu type stuff, type imagery. And we get this sacred flower, the sacred lotus, growing at the top here. You see there? That's the lotus flower. Total paganism, total New Age stuff. We go into outer space. We get the purple, the merging of the red and blue together. More New World transhumanist symbolism. And this looks very similar to the 𝘬𝘯𝘯. Remember we looked at with the Vatican Christmas display, the 𝘬𝘯𝘯, DJED, from ancient Egypt. It looks very similar, which is in ancient Egypt, it represents the spine of Osiris, which is Nimrod. Quite similar to that depiction. And ultimately this really is an 𝘬𝘯𝘯, which is being worshipped here. You see the hands that come at the side of it, venerating this pole, this 𝘬𝘯𝘯. And some have likened that to the two heads of the two beasts. But very creepy, Antichrist, Luciferian New Age stuff. Which doesn't surprise me that this had the symbol for ∞ at the very start. So a bit concerning, isn't it, when you see the needle and the DNA manipulation. And this is what someone said online about this display. This is an absolutely unbelievable display. They cover every single aspect of the Antichrist system. They show the needle penetrating a DNA model, the sacred lotus, the 𝘬𝘯𝘯𝘯, all kinds of satanic and Illuminati symbols. The worship of the sun god. Multiple times they show alien ships, outer space, the COVID molecule, fire and power, dancing creatures, giant hands worshipping the 𝘬𝘯𝘯𝘯, and they even close with an introduction to the demonic heads and faces of the two beasts. This is how 2021 has been ushered into us. Well, that's the conclusion of this New Year's Eve propaganda, this look at the 3 different displays there across the world. Thank you for listening, and please leave your thoughts in the comments. God bless you.